Hey everyone, Brett Kelly here for another Tuesday Tech Tip, 45 drives. So today is part 2 of our 3-part series of our FreeNAS to Houston move. First part, last one we did was alerts and monitoring, so hope you guys enjoyed that one. Today we're talking automated snapshots and backups. All right, so you got a storage server. Why'd you get your storage server? You want to keep your data safe. So you built a RAID. Good. In this case, we built a ZFS RAID. Little RAIDs, big RAIDs, your data's safe from disk failure. Is that enough to keep your data safe? No. If you shook your head yes there, you're wrong. You need a good backup solution. You need to put that data somewhere else. If you don't care about the data, sure, leave it. But really, ideally, we should be putting it somewhere else. So what's a good backup solution? Well, ideally, it's automated. Ideally, it's fast. Ideally, it's snapshot based. So you're taking kind of a snapshot, sending it somewhere from that instance of time. So as you've heard us say, and I'm sure you've heard other people say too, snapshots alone aren't a backup. Snapshots are a great way to take a kind of piece of time memory and keep that on your server. But again, it's still on your server. You got to send it somewhere else. And that's where ZFS is kind of like one of the best file systems for this. It's got its snapshotting abilities, and it's got the ZFS send and receive, which can take a snapshot, send it to another server, and then that Z pool can receive it and just put it right into your data set. Anyway, that's all great, but we're missing one other piece there. Wouldn't it be really cool if there was a tool that just kind of wrapped all this up and just handled it for you? And there is. So there's a wonderful open source tool called Snapsend. And apologize if I kind of switch back and forth on my pronunciation of that, because as you guys know, I can't pronounce things correctly. But Snapsend is a tool that will consistently take snapshots based on a schedule and a lifetime, keep them for a lifetime that you set, using mbuffer, which is a way to kind of like buffer up a bunch of stuff, send it over to the other side through ZFS send and receive, and safely receive it on the other end. The wonderful part of all this is it's kind of a wrapper around the native ZFS tools that just makes this whole process really easy. So, to get a good automated snapshotting and backup solution on your storage server, whether it's Houston or any storage server running ZFS, check out Snapsend. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to go through this process. So, why don't you join me at the screen and we'll get started. All right, let's set it up. So, I've got 2 servers here. 1, 2. On both servers, I've built a RAID Z2. On my main server here, I've called it tank, and I've got a data set called main. This is, I don't know, paint a picture. This is the main working data set of your company, whatever, your home. You store everything in here. You're sharing it out via Samba, awesome. You want to take snapshots of this thing, and then you want to send it somewhere else. So here's somewhere else. The other server I have, number 2 here, I've got the pool called backup. Oh, sorry. I've got the pool called backup and a data set also called main. It doesn't have to have the same name as the other one. I'm just for illustrative purposes here. As you notice, nothing's shared on this side because it truly just is our backup. So what we're going to do is we're going to send tank main to backup main. So we're going to configure a backup job, a snapshot job, and with our Snapsend tool, and we're going to put some data on this data set, and at the time that we told it to send, we're going to verify that it does in fact send the data over to the other side. So let me hop open on number 1 here. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we have passwordless SSH key-based access to root add password, look at me, Ceph Ubuntu 2, to the other server, because that's how this works. It does send it over SSH. So I've already sent my key over, so I know everything's all right. Let me just double check. Great, there we go. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to our knowledge base article that we have here. And I've already kind of navigated to the example that we're going to set up. By the way, You don't have to you can use this tool to just set up snapshots. Maybe you don't have a backup location and you're okay with that. You probably should back it up, but you don't have to, right? If you just want to do snapshot tasks, that's documented here too. But again, we're talking snapshot tasks and backup tasks today. So we're going to use this snapzen setup command. And so this backup command is pretty much everything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through each of these command line options just so we understand what we're doing. So we're going to create a job, and we're going to do it recursively. We want to get everything underneath. I'm going to use mbuffer, because remember what I said about mbuffer. ZFS send and receive can be very bursty. So if it just fills the buffer, and so you get a nice clean flat transfer as it sends it. We need to specify a source destination, or sorry, a source destination. We need to specify a source. Where is this data coming from? And we need to give it a schedule and a lifetime. So a schedule is how often do I snapshot this and also send it somewhere else, and how long do I keep those snapshots for? Because you don't need to keep your snapshots forever. So this example that I have here is take a snapshot and send it to the other end every hour and keep those snapshots on the sender for 7 days. Also, do it again at 4 hours, but keep those for 30 days, and do it every 1 day, so every 24 hours. And keep those for 90 days. And in our case, we'll do it on tank main. Then we specify a destination. So our destination is our backup server that we're going to set up, or that I have set up, and then our backup tank. And you do the same thing on the other end. This just specifies the snapshots and the lifetime on the receiving end. The magic of when it flows is all in this source. So what I'm going to do is take this whole command here, not control all that way, and I'm going to drop it in. And I'm going to change my backup target. Actually, it's not going to let me change that line. Let me do this again. Okay, so this is the example I'm going to work from. So again, guys, we can configure based on your needs, but we're going to do a very general case right now. So let me split my two screens here so I can do this. So I'm going to write snapzen setup create. I don't need to do it recursively this time because I don't have anything underneath my data set. Say if you had sub data sets, or say you just wanted to send the top level tank and everything beneath it, you'd want to use the recursive flag. In this case, I don't need to. I'm going to use the exact same default options for mbuffer. And now I got to specify my source. So I'm not going to do anything as complicated as this. I want to, I don't know, keep for 1 day, and I want to snap and send every 5 minutes because, well, for illustrative purposes here, we don't want to wait 3 hours. By the way, also in the knowledge base article here is the time interval destinations. Min is not M. My initial testing, I was very upset that it wasn't working, and come to find out that my increment was M, which was months, not minutes, so I would have been waiting a while. So anyway, that table is also included in the knowledge base. So let's take a snap every 5 minutes, keep for, well, 1 day is excessive. It's illustrative, who cares, Brett? We'll do 1 hour, why not? And we'll do another one at 10 minutes. Keep those for 2 hours. I don't know, I'm just showing you how we can do multiple plans. That's the term they use, plans. And we'll snap it 10 minutes for this one. Okay, we'll close our bracket there. Let me scroll back up to my example. And I'm going to send from tank. Remember, don't put that leading slash because we're speaking ZFS language here. And we're going to go main. And we're going to do that. And now it's time to specify our destination. You got to give it a tag. So this little :A, you can actually have multiple destinations. So say you have 3 servers, 4 servers, whatever, and you want to send this source to multiple places, you can just have multiple destinations. It's pretty cool. We're going to have the exact same life cycle and schedule on the destination end as we have on the receiving end. For those coming from the FreeNAS world, you might be going, okay, this feels familiar, because it really is kind of the same functionality as what FreeNAS is doing. Yeah, so I want to send this to root at Ubuntu 2. And again, you don't do the leading slashes, so I want to send it to backup/main. And this should be everything. So that's a normal thing. Okay, so, oh, it's warning me that mbuffer doesn't exist on number 2. Okay, perfect. That means that I can save this here, but I need to go install mbuffer on the other end. So I'm going to save this backup because it says it's going to send it to root Ubuntu 2 backup main. Yep. That's my destination plan, which is the exact same as my source plan. Snap and send every 5 minutes. Keep those snaps for an hour. Snap and send every 10 minutes. Keep those for 2 hours. Not the most useful practical example here, but for illustrative purposes, it'll work. Use mbuffer. It's enabled. That means it'll actually run. And the time format of the snapshots that it's going to send, which all of this is configurable, but out of the box, this is all fine. So we're going to save this. And again, it warns me, it says, careful, Ubuntu 2 does not have mbuffer. So I'm going to pop open to Ubuntu 2 right now. I'm going to go over to the terminal, and I'm going to go apt install mbuffer. And, okay, clear. If I go back to 1 now, I'm just going to snap zend setup edit tank main. So this is if you wanted to edit your job after the fact. You would do this command. So it gives you a little text editor. I don't actually want to change anything. But now you can see it doesn't give me that warning that mbuffer doesn't exist on the other end. Therefore, everything should be fine. So nice little tip too. If you give it a destination that you haven't done passwordless SSH yet, or you get a typo, or it doesn't exist, it'll warn you when you save it. It goes, careful, I can't contact this. And it'll even go as far as if it does have passwordless SSH and you give it a pool that doesn't exist, it'll warn you and say, careful, this destination doesn't exist. So I really love that about this tool. So we're going to save this. And before I turn the service on, because this is all we have to do here, there's no cron, there's none of that stuff. We just configure a job like this, and then we turn the service on. And then at every 5-minute interval and every 10-minute interval, it's going to snap and send. So, like any good demo, we should see this thing work, right? So let me full screen this again so we can see everything. I'm going to put some data on tank main. So let me go DD will work. Because if you do empty 0 files, it actually won't send them over. Again, something I played with in testing and got frustrated when it wouldn't send anything. So I'm going to use devu random, which will be my bottleneck here. So we'll only write at about 100 megs a second. What am I doing? I want to write to tank main. Sometimes when you're writing commands and talking at the same time, you forget to do one of them. I'm a one-track mind, not a multi-threaded processor, I guess. Ha ha ha. Good jokes, eh? We'll just call it data ISO. That's kind of boring, whatever. Block size 1 megabyte, and we'll do count equals 1024. So this would be 1 gig. Let's do 4 gigabyte file, 496. But then we're probably going to sit here for a minute. Let's just keep it simple, Brett. Why not? We're going to write a 1 gig file. So I guess this brings us to the joke period of the tech tip as we wait for this to finish. And again, just kidding. That wrote, like I said, about 150 megs a second. If we look, here's our little data ISO file. If we go back to ZFS and give it a nice refresh there, you can see that I've used 1 gigabyte of data in my tank main, right? So if I pop open to Ubuntu 2 and take a look at this, in my backup location, I've got a couple kilobytes used, but nothing really, because we haven't sent anything over yet. So let's turn on our task. What time is it? It's 11:43, perfect timing. So in 2 minutes, it should fire. So don't mind my test that I can't get rid of there. We're just going to start it. We're going to start and enable it. So you can see it's starting. And then down here, we'll take a little snap at this, right? So refreshing backup plan. It found a valid backup plan. It's initialized and it's resuming its normal operation. So at this point, in 1 minute, in 11:45, we should see, well, actually, you know, we'll watch the service because that's how we know it's doing something. And then we'll go look that the snapshot got created and that the data got sent over. So now it's just a little bit of a wait. Okay, so of course it did fire at 11:45, but it failed. And I have a feeling I know why it failed. It says that it's already got snapshots in it. I didn't read my documentation fully. Step 1 of setting this all up is make sure that you get rid of the ZFS auto snapshot, which is kind of like the default comes with ZFS. Well, it doesn't quite come with ZFS, but it's the default bare bones cron way of doing ZFS auto snapshots. And these two tools are incompatible. So one has to go and its snapshots can't be there once SnapsEnd starts. So, as always, read the documentation, Brett. So we're just going to clean this up real quick, guys, and we're going to try again. So in the meantime, so it doesn't try to send while I'm doing a little cleanup because we're nearing my next 5-minute cycle, I'm just going to clean up this back end here. So let me make sure I'm not crazy and this is actually what's wrong. That's what happens when you go back and forth with your lab units. Grep, I'll just search for auto. Zapped. See, look, I've just got Z on the mind. Grepped auto, snap. Yeah, there it is. So that's what our problem is. So I'm going to purge this. Sorry, ZFS auto snapshot. Yep. Go away. I'm going to go back to my ZFS file share and I'm going to delete my snapshots. And there we go. So we see that it created a snapshot on tank main, so that's our original. It finished, started to work on sending the backup, sent the snapshot, checking to clean the source. There was nothing to clean up yet because there's nothing longer than the lifetime we set. Says it's done, goes back into quiet or sleep mode as we wait. So let's double check that it's told the truth. So we'll hit refresh there. Again, we had 1 gigabyte in our main tank here. I'll refresh this. Here's our snapshot that SnapsEnd took. And let's bomb over to number 2. Take a look at that, refresh here. So we can see that backup main does indeed see the 1 gigabyte we sent over. Snapshots, let's refresh. Here's the one snapshot we saw. So, task worked. It'll continue to work every 5 minutes and every 10 minutes. Remember, my life cycle didn't make much sense here, but for illustrative purposes, it's there. This is an awesome tool, even as, like, again, someone might be going, well, man, you moved 1 gig of file. But that's kind of the point, right? You want to do small incremental stuff. This does incremental backups. If you have a huge multi-hundred terabyte data set and only a little bit has changed, only that little bit will be sent over, because remember, this still is ZFS send receive. We get all those awesome benefits and features of that. It's just kind of wrapped up in this nice automated tool. We don't have to use cron. Systemd started. It's awesome. With its inclusion of mbuffer, you get some nice, clean, good throughput out of this thing. Yeah, so that's automated snapshots and replication. Your backups. You can sleep soundly knowing that you've got a clean, I'm just using too many adjectives here. Sorry, guys. This is a great way to do automated backup. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And, oh, one little fun tidbit before I leave. We did set that up for you, command line. Pretty easy, right, with our knowledge base and stuff like that. We are actively working on building this into the Cockpit CFS module. A little tour right now, if you will, where we're adding a column to here that says if that task is replicated or not, or sorry, if that replication task is enabled or not for the data set, much like the kind of the share notification amount it is. And it'll be configured through here. We'll have another button that goes in and sets all that up. Still be using SnapsEnd. Still everything we talked about today is true and will function the same way. Just a little easier to set up. So we'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed the video, And catch us next week when we wrap all this up. Go from FreeNAS into Houston.